Chapter 13. What is true civilization as per Gandhi? The reader asks, you have denounced railways, lawyers and doctors. I can see that you will discard all machinery. What then is civilization? To which Gandhi replies, and I will read it verbatim. The answer to the question is not difficult. I believe that the civilization India has evolved is not to be beaten in the world. Nothing can equal the seeds sown by our ancestors. Rome went, Greeks share the same fate. The might of pharaohs was broken. Japan has become westernized. Of China, nothing can be said. But India is still, somehow or other, sound at the foundation. The people of Europe learned their lessons from the writings of men of Greece and Rome, which exist no longer in their former glory. In trying to learn from them, the Europeans imagine that they will avoid the mistakes of the Greece and the Rome. Such is their pitiable condition. In the midst of all this, India remains immovable, and that is her glory. It is a charge against India that her people are so uncivilized, ignorant, and stolid that it is not possible to induce them to adopt any changes. It is a charge really against our merit. What we have tested and found true on the anvil of experience, we dare not change. Many thrust their advice upon India, and she remains steady. This is her beauty. It is the sheet of anchor of our hope. Civilization is that mode of conduct which points out to the man the path of duty, performance of duty, and observance of morality and convertible terms. To observe morality is to attain mastery over our mind and our passions. So doing, we know ourselves. The Gujarati equivalent term of civilization means good conduct. If the definition to be correct, then India, as so many writers have shown, has nothing to learn from anybody else, and it is as it should be. We notice that the mind is restless bird, and more it gets, the more it wants, and still remains unsatisfied. The more we indulge our passions, the more unbridled they become. Our ancestors, therefore, set a limit to our indulgences. They saw that happiness was largely a mental condition. A man is not necessarily happy because he is rich or unhappy because he is poor. The rich are often seen to be unhappy, the poor to be happy. Millions will always remain poor. Observing all this, our ancestors dissuaded us from the luxuries and pleasures. We have managed with the same kind of plough as existed thousands of years ago. We have retained the same kind of cottage that we had in the former times, and our indigenous education remains same as before. We have had no system of life-corroding competition. Each followed his own occupation or trade and charged a regulation wage. It was not that we did not know how to invent machinery, but our forefathers knew that if we set our hearts after such things, we would become slaves and lose our moral fiber. They, therefore, after due deliberation, decided that we should only do what we could do with our hands and feet. They saw that our real happiness and health consisted in a proper use of our hands and feet. They further reasoned that large cities were a snare and a useless endurance, and that people would not be happy in them, that there would be gangs of thieves and robbers, prostitutions and vice flourishing in them, and that the poor men would be robbed by the rich men. They were therefore satisfied with small village. They saw that kings and their swords were inferior to the sword of ethics, and they therefore held the sovereign of the earth to be inferior to the rishis and fakirs. A nation with a constitution like this is fitter to teach others than to learn from others. This nation had courts, lawyers, and doctors, but they were all within bounds. Everybody knew that these professions were not particularly superior. Moreover, these wakils and vaids did not rob people. They were considered people's dependent, not their masters. Justice was tolerably fair. The ordinary rule was to avoid courts. There were no touts to lure people into them. These evil, too, was noticeable only in and around capitals. The common people lived independently and followed their agricultural occupation. They enjoyed true home rule. And where this cursed modern civilization has not reached, India remains as it was before. Inhabitants of that part of India will properly laugh at your newfangled notions. The English do not rule over them, nor will you rule over them. Those in whose name we speak, we do not know, nor they know that they know us. I would certainly advise you and those like you who love the motherland to go into the interior that has yet not been polluted by the railways and to live there for 6 months. You might then be patriotic and speak of home rule. Now you see what I considered to be a civilization. Those who want to change conditions such as I have described are the enemies of the country and are sinners. To which the readers ask again, it would be right if India were exactly as you described it, but it is also India where there are hundreds of child widows, where 2-year-old babies are married, where 12-year-old girls are mothers and housewives, where women practice polyandry, where the practice of yoga obtains, where the name of the religion, girls dedicated themselves to prostitution, and in the name of religion, sheep and goats are killed. Do you consider these also the symbols of the civilization that you have described? Gandhiji replies, well, you're making mistake. The defects that you have shown are defects. Nobody mistakes them for ancient civilization. They remain in spite of it. Attempts have been made and will be made to remove them. We may utilize the new spirit that is born in us for purging ourselves of these evils. But what I have described to you as emblems of modern civilization are accepted as such by its votaries. Indian civilization, as described by me, has been so described by its votaries. In no part of the world and under no civilization have all men attained perfection. The tendency of Indian civilization is to elevate the moral being. That of the Western civilization is to propagate immorality. The latter is godless. The former is based on belief in God. So understanding and so believing, it behoves every lover of India to cling to the old Indian civilization, and even as a child, even as a child clings to the mother's breast. Thank you. Chapter 14. How can India become free? The reader asked, I appreciate your views about civilization. I will have to think over them. I cannot take them in all at once. What then, holding the views you do, would you suggest for freeing India? Gandhi replies, I do not expect my views to be acceptable all of a sudden. My duty is to place them before readers like yourself. Time can be trusted to do the rest. We have already examined the conditions for free India, but we have done so indirectly. We will now do so directly. It is a world-known maxim that the removal of the cause of a disease results in the removal of the disease itself. Similarly, if the cause of India's slavery be removed, India can become free. The reader asked, if Indian civilization is, as you say, the best of all, how do you account for India's slavery? Editor, that is Gandhi. This civilization is unquestionably the best, but it is to be observed that all civilizations have been on their trial. That civilization which is permanent outlives it. Because the sons of India were found wanting, its civilization has been placed in jeopardy. But its strength is to be seen in its ability to survive the shock. Moreover, the whole of India is not touched. Those alone who have been affected by Western civilization have become enslaved. We measure the universe by our own miserable foot rule. When we are slave, we think that the whole universe is enslaved. Because we are in an object condition, we think that the whole of India is in that condition. As a matter of fact, it is not so. Yet, it is as well to impute our slavery to the whole of India. But if we bear in mind the above fact, we can see that if we become free, India is free. And in this thought, you have a definition of Swaraj. It is Swaraj when we learn to rule ourselves. It is therefore in the palm of our hands. Do not consider this Swaraj to be like a dream. There is no idea of sitting still. The Swaraj that I wish to picture is such that after we have once realized it, we shall endeavor to the end of our lifetime to persuade others to do likewise. But such Swaraj has to be experienced by each one of himself. One drowning man will never save another. Slaves ourselves, it would be a mere presentation of freeing others. Now you will have seen that it is not necessary for us to have as our goal the expulsion of the English. If the English become Indianized, we can accommodate them. If they wish to remain in India along with their civilization, there is no room for them. It lies with us to bring about such a state of things. The reader asked, it is impossible that Englishmen should ever become Indianized. Editor, that is Gandhi. To say that is equivalent to saying that English have no humanity in them. And it is really beside the point whether they become so or not. If we keep our own house in order, only those who are fit to live in it will remain. Others will leave of their own accord. Such things occur with the experience of all of us. And the reader asks again, but it has not occurred in history. Editor, that is Gandhi. To believe that what has not occurred in history will not occur at all is to argue disbelief in the dignity of man. At any rate, it behoves us to try what appeals to our reason. All countries are not similarly conditioned. The condition of India is unique. Its strength is immeasurable. We need not therefore refer to the history of other countries. I have drawn attention to the fact that when other civilizations have succumbed, the Indians have survived many shocks. Reader, I cannot follow this. There seems little doubt that we shall have to expel the English by force of arms. So long as they are in the country, we cannot rest. One of our poets say that slaves cannot even dream of happiness. We are day by day becoming weakened, owing to the presence of the English. Our greatness is gone. Our people look like terrified men. The English are in the country like a blight, which we must remove by every means. Editor, that is Gandhi. In your excitement, you have forgotten all we have been considering. We brought the English. We keep them. Why do you forget that our adoption of their civilization make their presence in India at all possible? Your hatred against them ought to be transferred to their civilization. But let us assume that we have to drive away the English by fighting. How is that to be done? The reader, in the same way as Italy did. What was possible for Mazzini and Garibaldi is possible for us. You cannot deny that they were very great men. They were very great men. Thank you.